Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM, AM 630. WMAL.
It is 6:37 on the Morning Majority. It's Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman. Mary Catherine Ham is off on her honeymoon, belated honeymoon trip, and is maybe, hopefully by now, halfway up Mount Kilimanjaro.
Hopefully. It's just a good thing that she won't miss the big protest later this afternoon for the Occupy D.C., which will be marching from McPherson Square to the Key Bridge.
That's right.
And it could cause some major problems.
During rush hour.
Right. By the way, Tori Clark is in for Mary Catherine Ham. Good to have you, Tori Clark.
Nice to be here.
On the phone now is our favorite Democrat, a man who always has provocative things to say, and sometimes it completely hacks us off. But that's okay, because we still love him. Lanny Davis joins us now. How are you doing, Lanny?
Well, it's nice to have Tori at least provide some balance to your panel. So.
Thank you, Lanny.
Thank you very much, Lanny.
Tori.
Yeah, we're standing
really
right here, Lanny. We're right here.
My column this morning, I know I usually joke with you guys, but my column this morning is really something that Tori should be interested in, because I really put it to President Obama, who I am supporting for re-election, but I am quite troubled by his lack of leadership on this supercommittee and the national debt. And we're looking at a devastating $600 million cut to the Defense Department that Leon Panetta is trying to warn people about. And we're in this total denial in both parties, but the President of the United States has to be our leader to find a solution. And I just cannot understand what he's doing in Hawaii or in Australia, while we're facing really, I think, a crisis of humongous proportions.
So you're saying he's fiddling while Rome burns, or is about to burn?
I think he has a rationale for not wanting to politicize this by getting involved in causing Republicans to oppose anything he's in favor of. But presidential leadership at this moment of crisis, this is a crisis. If the supercommittee doesn't come up with a $1.2 trillion cut, then $600 million, billion dollars will be automatically cut from the defense budget and automatically cut from all domestic programs. The failure of presidential and congressional leadership is going to be such that it just mystifies me why President Obama isn't in the thick of this leading to get a solution. Has
he made the judgment that this will fall on Congress and not on him, and that's why he's staying out of it?
You know, I give him the benefit of the doubt, as I always do, that he has a strategy that if he's involved too early, he'll make things worse. But he did that on health care. He did that on the stimulus bill. He's done that on other matters where he's held back to the very end. And I simply respectfully say he is our president, and I am speaking in the tone of voice I am since I've been for Simpson Bowles and looked at the national debt as a genuine moral crisis. That I have two small children and grandchildren, by the way, and we are leaving this debt to have them pay, while we are too lazy or as he used the word lazy, I think not very appropriately yesterday.
Right.
But we are, in fact, as a country, allowing our children, our grandchildren, to pay what we're not willing to pay for.
Lanny, I agree with you completely, and I've always been struck, and we've talked before about this tendency the president has to hang back, to see where things are going. I'm a little more cynical for why he does that than you are, and so many of these things are won in the court of public opinion, and he is so effective in terms of his communication. He could have such a positive influence, but then let's just get to crass, cynical, how Washington looks at things and how it's perceived. You're absolutely right. Here we are facing this incredibly critical moment for the country, and these members of Congress, whether you love them or hate them, are working like dogs trying to make something happen, and he is watching a basketball game on a ship, and he is in Hawaii, and he's just not there.
All right, maybe we're missing the obvious. Maybe he's not a very good leader, and maybe number two, that Congress doesn't want him around, because when he's around, things don't get done. See debt ceiling August of 2011.
Right. I do think it's entirely possible both Democrats and Republicans don't want him around.
Look, I wish we had more time, and I know this is a moment where I'm critical of my own president, who I'm supporting, that I would like to get off the phone as quickly as possible. But this is my final message. Just say yes to my fellow Democrats. The Republicans courageously, although I don't think it's much, but for them it's courageous, offered to close tax loopholes for $300 billion of the $1.2 trillion that has to be cut. This is the first time they've been willing to do that. We need to start saying yes so that the country sees Washington working and willing to compromise. Even though I'm opposed to a good part of the Republican proposal, we have to start one step at a time. And I don't understand why Democrats in the Congress, as well as the president leading Democrats, don't know how to say yes, and let's get it done now, and then we'll have a success story to sell to the Americans.
You know, Lanny, not at all what I expected to ask you about, but I mean, a fascinating conversation, and thanks for joining us. By the way, real quick, you're a consultant. Is $200,000 a year by Washington standards a big consultancy fee?
No, and this whole thing about...
No, I haven't got time for a long answer. Is it yes or no?
The answer is absolutely no, and there's cheap shots on Newt Gingrich, who I wouldn't support for president, but this is typical cheap shot time, and I am furious that the Democrats aren't focusing on issues rather than character assassination, which is usually what happens when somebody gets into the front of the pack.
Thank you very much, Lanny. Good to have you.
Thanks, Lanny.
See you later.